Are you at a crossroads when it comes to feeding your 30 laying hens and wondering what the optimal frequency and amount of food is to ensure abundant and constant egg production? Are you concerned that you're not feeding your birds the right way? Do you want to uncover the secrets of efficient nutrition for your flock? You've come to the right place. In this expert and ultra-detailed guide, we will explain how often you should feed 30 laying hens and how much. We will break down all the factors that influence the frequency and quantity of food your 30 laying hens need, providing you with practical and specific recommendations for different scenarios and life stages of your birds. You will learn how to optimize your flock's feeding to maximize egg production, maintain the health of your hens, and avoid food waste. Get ready to become an expert in feeding your laying hens. Before diving into the details of the frequency and quantity of food for your hens, if the information you're about to receive seems invaluable and essential for the success of your poultry business, we kindly ask for a small but meaningful gesture of support. Give us a like and subscribe to our channel. Your support is the driving force that pushes us to continue researching, experimenting, and sharing the most advanced and practical knowledge with you in the world of poultry farming. And remember, if you're looking for laying hens with excellent genetics and proven egg-laying potential, you've come to the right place. Our selection of hens is based on top-tier genetics, ensuring you get birds with high laying potential. By choosing our hens, you are investing in quality and sustainability for your poultry operation. Now, let's dive into the key details of how to feed your hens effectively. We'll explore the best practices for feeding your 30 laying hens based on their specific needs and the best methods to achieve consistent egg production, perfectly adapted to the various climatic conditions of our region. At our farm, we have them available and offer secure shipping throughout Latin America. Contact us through the link you will find in the description, or consider supporting our work by making a donation through the Super Thanks button right below. Your contribution is essential for us to continue growing together and providing you with the best information and the best hens to ensure your poultry business reaches its maximum performance. Feeding is a fundamental pillar for the health, well-being, and productivity of laying hens. Determining the right frequency and amount of food for a flock of 30 hens requires understanding several factors and adapting feeding practices to meet the specific needs of your hens. There is no single, universal answer, as conditions can vary significantly from one farm to another and from one region to another. Next, we will explore in detail the key factors that influence the frequency and amount of food for 30 laying hens, providing you with practical and specific recommendations for different situations. Key factors that influence the feeding frequency of laying hens. The frequency with which you should feed your 30 laying hens is not arbitrary. Several factors play an important role in determining the optimal frequency, such as the hen's age. The nutritional needs vary significantly between different life stages of a hen. Chicks up to 18 weeks, growing chicks have high nutritional needs to support their development. They usually require food several times a day, typically 2 to 3 times, to ensure steady and healthy growth. Adult laying hens after 20 weeks, once hens begin laying eggs, their needs focus on maintaining production. Most breeders find that feeding adult laying hens 1 or 2 times a day is sufficient. Type of feeding system. The system you use to feed your hens can also influence the frequency. Restricted feeding. In this system, a specific amount of food is offered at certain times of the day. This may require 1 or 2 feeding sessions. Ad libitum, free choice feeding. In this system, food is available to the hens at all times, though the frequency of offering may be less frequent, such as filling the feeders once a day or every few days. The hens have continuous access to food. Management practices. Your own management practices and the routine of your hens may influence feeding frequency. If your hens have access to a large pasture area and find a significant amount of food on their own, they may need less food offered directly, and therefore the feeding frequency may be lower. Laying hens. Determining the correct amount of food for your 30 laying hens is crucial to ensure optimal production and avoid health issues. Several factors influence the amount of food your birds need. Age and body weight: younger hens and larger breeds tend to consume more food. The body weight of your birds can also indicate if they are receiving the right amount of food. Egg production level: hens at their peak egg production have higher energy and protein needs, so they will consume more food than hens laying fewer eggs or that have stopped laying. Environmental conditions: ambient temperature can affect food consumption. In cold climates, hens need more energy to maintain their body temperature, so they may consume more food. In hot climates, their appetite may decrease. Type and quality of food: the energy density and nutritional content of the food you provide will influence how much they need to consume to meet their requirements. Poor quality food or food with low energy content will require higher consumption. Access to supplementary food: if your 30 hens have access to pasture, kitchen scraps, or other supplementary food sources, their consumption of commercial food will be lower. General health and presence of diseases or parasites: sick hens or those infested with parasites may have a reduced appetite. Reduced appetite or lower nutrient absorption efficiency can affect the amount of food hens need and consume. General recommendations for the feeding frequency of 30 laying hens: for a flock of 30 adult laying hens, the general recommendation is to feed them once or twice a day. Once a day: many successful breeders feed their adult laying hens once a day, usually in the morning. This may be sufficient if the right amount of high-quality food is provided and the hens have access to other food sources like pasture. Twice a day: feeding hens twice a day, in the morning and in the afternoon, can be beneficial to ensure they have a steady supply of food throughout the day, especially if they don't have much access to pasture or if different types of food are offered at each session, such as commercial food in the morning and kitchen scraps in the afternoon. General recommendations for the amount of food for 30 laying hens: the amount of food an adult laying hen needs varies, but a general estimate is about 100 to 120 grams of commercial food per hen per day. Calculation for 30 hens. For a flock of 30 laying hens, this would translate into a daily need of between 3 and 3.6 kilograms of commercial food. However, this is an estimate, and factors like the quality of food and environmental conditions can influence actual consumption. Adjusting for specific needs: it's important to monitor your hens regularly to ensure they are eating enough and are not underfed, especially during colder months or during peak egg production periods. 6 kilograms of commercial food: adjusting according to conditions. It's important to remember that this is just a general guide. You should adjust the amount of food based on the factors mentioned earlier, such as age, production level, environmental conditions, and access to supplementary food. Practical tips for determining the correct amount of food: observe your hens. The best way to determine if you're feeding your 30 laying hens the correct amount is by observing their behavior and body condition. Well-fed hens should be active, alert, and have a healthy body weight. Monitor consumption. Try to measure the amount of food your hens consume daily for several days to get an idea of their actual needs. Avoid waste. Use feeders designed to minimize food waste and avoid overfilling the feeders. Consider pasture. If your hens have access to pasture, reduce the amount of commercial food offered accordingly. Observe how much they graze and adjust the amount of commercial food to avoid overfeeding. Evaluate body condition. Learn to assess your hen's body condition by palpating the keel, the bone running down their chest. A hen with a proper body condition will have a layer of flesh covering the keel, but the bone will still be noticeable. A very prominent keel indicates low weight, while a keel that is hard to feel indicates overweight. Examples of feeding schedules for 30 laying hens: 1. Feeding once a day. If you choose to feed once a day, provide the necessary amount of high-quality food in the morning. Ensure that your hens also have access to pasture or any supplementary food sources throughout the day. 2. Feeding twice a day. Another option is feeding your hens twice a day, once in the morning and once in the evening. This method can ensure that they have a consistent supply of food, especially if they don't have much access to pasture or if you offer different types of food during each session, such as commercial food in the morning and kitchen scraps in the afternoon. Adjusting food based on egg production. During peak egg production periods, you may need to increase the amount of food provided to ensure your hens are receiving sufficient nutrients. Keep a close eye on their condition and adjust accordingly. 8 kilograms of commercial food for laying hens in the morning. Provide access to fresh, clean water throughout the day. Allow free-range grazing during the day if available. Offer 1.5 to 1.8 kilograms of commercial food for laying hens in the afternoon. Feeding schedule with supplements. Offer 2.5 to 3 kilograms of commercial food for laying hens in the morning. Provide access to fresh, clean water throughout the day. Allow free-range grazing during the day if available. Offer a mixture of kitchen scraps and grains such as cracked corn and oats, 1244, in the afternoon. Approximately 0.5 kilograms in total. Specific considerations for different life stages. Chicks, 0 to 6 weeks. Feed them starter feed for chicks ad libitum, free access to food. Food should be available at all times. Ensure that feeders are easily accessible and that the food is fresh and clean. Chicks, 7 to 18 weeks. Switch to growth feed for chicks and continue offering it ad libitum. You can start to slightly limit the amount of food as they approach the laying age to prevent them from becoming too heavy. Adult laying hens, after 20 weeks use layer feed and follow the general recommendations for frequency and quantity, adjusting as necessary. Molting hens, during the molt, when hens lose and replace their feathers, their protein needs increase. Consider offering food with a higher protein content or supplementing their diet with high-quality protein sources. Complete and balanced feed for laying hens, relying solely on kitchen scraps or grains can lead to nutritional deficiencies. Not providing enough calcium. Laying hens need a large amount of calcium to produce strong eggshells. Make sure they have access to an additional calcium source, such as crushed oyster shells, ignoring the importance of water. Fresh, clean water is essential for health and egg production. Make sure your hens have constant access to water. The role of grit and oyster shell. Grit is a mixture of small stones or sand that hens swallow to help grind their food in the gizzard. It's especially important if your hens consume whole grains or have a lot of access to pasture. Offer grit in a separate feeder. Oyster shell. Oyster shell is an excellent source of calcium that laying hens need to produce strong eggshells. Offer crushed oyster shell in a separate feeder and allow the hens to consume as much as they need. Feeding in different housing systems. Henhouses with access to pasture. In this system, you can feed your 30 hens once or twice a day with commercial food, allowing them to supplement their diet with whatever they find in the pasture. Henhouses without access to pasture. If your hens are confined in a henhouse without access to pasture, you will need to provide a complete and balanced diet of commercial feed and supplements such as fresh vegetables and hay. Feeding frequency may be once or twice a day. Feeding adjustments according to the season. Summer in hot climates, hens may consume less food. Make sure they have access to plenty of fresh water and shade. You can offer fresh, moist foods to help them stay hydrated. Winter in cold climates, hens may need more energy to stay warm. You can slightly increase the amount of food offered and consider adding whole grains like corn to provide more calories. Tips for reducing feeding costs. Reminder: encourage grazing. Allow your hens to forage for food as much as possible. Take advantage of kitchen and garden scraps. Offer your hens safe scraps from your home and garden. Consider growing your own food. If you have space, you can grow some grains, seeds, and vegetables for your hens. Buy food in bulk, if you need to. Purchase commercial feed. Consider buying in bulk for better prices. Impact of feeding on egg quality. The diet of your laying hens has a direct impact on the quality of the eggs they produce. Egg size. An adequate and sufficient energy diet can influence the size of the eggs. Eggshell strength. Proper calcium intake is essential for producing strong eggshells and preventing breakage. Egg yolk color. The color of the yolk can be affected by the pigments in the food. Hens that consume a lot of greens and corn tend to produce yolks with a more intense color. Nutritional value. The diet of the hens can also influence the nutritional value of the eggs, such as omega-3 fatty acid content, if they are fed with sources rich in these nutrients. Troubleshooting common feeding issues. Selective hens. If your hens are selective with their food, try offering a variety of foods and do not allow them to only pick their favorites. Mix the foods to ensure a balanced intake, food waste, use proper feeders, avoid overfilling the feeders, and consider offering food in several smaller sessions instead of one large amount at a time. Rodent and pest control. Store food in safe, clean containers to prevent attracting rodents and other pests. Regularly clean around the henhouse to remove food scraps. Conclusion: mastering the feeding of your 30 laying hens is an ongoing process that requires observation, adaptation, and understanding the specific needs of your birds. By following the general recommendations, considering the influencing factors, and applying the practical advice provided in this guide, you will be on the right path to ensuring abundant egg production, maintaining the health of your hens, and optimizing your feeding costs. Remember, the key is to find the balance that works best for your flock and your specific circumstances. It's your time to apply this knowledge and become an expert in the care of your hens, expert in feeding your 30 laying hens, maximizing your egg production, and saving money in the process. If this guide has seemed invaluable to you and provided the information you needed, we kindly ask once again for you to give us a like and subscribe to our channel. Your support is our greatest motivation to continue sharing with you the secrets of successful poultry farming. And remember, if you're looking for laying hens with excellent genetics to start or expand your flock of 30, we have them available at our farm, and we offer secure shipping throughout Latin America. Contact us today, and let's start building the future of your poultry business together. If you wish to contribute to us continuing to offer free and quality information, we greatly appreciate your donation through the Super Thanks button or the link in the description. Your generosity helps us continue growing and supporting the bird creator community. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you won't miss any future videos. We truly appreciate your support and look forward to continuing to have you along on this journey.